This episode on the Scrap Mechanics Showcase Series. Are you ready for a really good time? Because things are about to get real.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Scrap Mechanics Showcase Series. On this episode we are doing the gyroscopic monowheel. So this was actually one of my first builds. I think maybe my second or third world I just really wanted to build like this. I had this idea for this gyroscopic giant monowheel thing, and I decided to just take a stab at it. Now, I have never played any other building games like Minecraft or things like that where you have that kind of grid system that you're working with. I did a little bit of Besiege for Scrap Mechanic, but honestly, this is the first real game I've taken seriously that involves building like this. So I thought, let's create a monowheel, and first I have to start with a wheel. Now I didn't know that there were any type of wheel or circle templates. Apparently, like, Minecraft has all of these templates for making big circles, given the blocky kind of grid system that you have. So I was just winging it. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just like, I'm gonna build a wheel. I just gotta go this direction. Okay, now I gotta go the other direction, and I gotta go the other direction, and meet back at the same point I started. So once I did that, I took a step back, took a look at it, and realized I made a square. And squares do not roll. So I was like, well, what am I gonna do here? I want this to be a wheel. It's a square. So my solution, my ingenious solution here to counteract my dumb mistake was to attach these arms on each side and have them angled outwards just a little bit, so it creates a more rounded feel to it. Now my concern was that I was going to put too much weight on these bearings, and these arms wouldn't actually do anything, and the vehicle would just cause them to bend and flatten out anyway. So my way to counteract that was I put these squares. These squares are attached to the main frame of the vehicle right here, so they're solid objects, and I have the arms angled to rest directly on those frames. And what that does is this square creates a really solid base for these frames to be supported on. So if you look at the frames there, you can see that there's no bend at all. They stay really rigid, keeping it in that nice, more circular shape there. Okay, so now let's talk about what I did. How did I build this? What went through my mind after I built the main outside frame? And then I knew I wanted to do at least 2 more layers in the middle here. So my first layer is the blue one, and that is attached on the x-axis by a bearing right here. So this rotates freely around the x-axis. You can see as I roll, it keeps my guy nice and stable, nice and steady. And then the next frame is the white one, which I attached vertically. So you can see there's a bearing on top rather than on the side, which keeps it rotating on the other axis. So if I go ahead and turn my vehicle here, you can see it starts rotating, keeping me nice and free floating. And I'm gonna go into a bush. Okay, it's an invisible bush. It keeps my character nice and free floating in the middle here. So I had that. I had the outer frame, I had the blue frame, and I had the white frame. So now I'm like, okay, the wheel is done. Now it's time to make it go. So my initial reaction was, let's just put some thrusters on all the sides of the wheels, and one there, and one there, and one there, and that way it'll be propelled in a circular motion constantly. And I was thinking, that's probably not going to be too, like, how am I going to turn? How am I going to reverse directions? Like, there's not going to be a lot of mobility with it. It's just going to make it rotate all around, and I don't think I'm going to have any control over that. So I was thinking, I need to keep the thrusters in the back. Wherever the back of the wheel is, I need to keep the thrusters there at all times. That way it provides a consistent forward thrust. Because this circular thing is not going to provide a consistent forward thrust. It's going to be going in all directions at once. So that's where this jetpack comes into play. So this is actually adding a 4th gyroscopic layer. You can see over here, there's a bearing attached to the outside of the initial frame, and this is a half frame, so it goes around one side of the vehicle, not around the other side. And this allows the thrusters, as you can see when I do my thrust, the thrusters stay behind the wheel. And the wheel just rotates within the arms like that. And I thought that that worked pretty well, but I was thinking if I crash into something, like let's go crash into this rock here. The thing about thrusters is they don't have a reverse. They have forward, and that's just about it. And I didn't want to use powered wheels, because these wheels back here, those are just free floating bearings. I didn't want to use any engines or powered wheels. I just wanted it to be a mono, like this wheel is what rolls freely. So these thrusters, I wanted it to be the main source. Now what happens if you get stuck against a wall? What are you supposed to do? Well, you can see that these thrusters, there's 4 that are activated right now. 2 of them are pointing down, and that keeps the jetpack stable on the ground. But the reverse of it, on the underside, it's everything's symmetrical. On the underside, you have the same thing, but reverse, so it's facing up. So if I apply those, this entire jetpack will flip to the other side, which allows you to change directions. So if you want to change directions, you just activate the other set of thrusters, and you can go back and forth just like that. And I thought that was a fun, really cool looking mechanism to change directions and prevent yourself from getting stuck against walls and stuff. Okay, so since I built the first version of this vehicle, I have made some updates just for this video and for you guys when you play with it as well. It is now much more stable than it used to be. And if you want to see the original one, I might put some overlays on this video so you can see. But there's also a couple of shots in it in my creation montage. There will be a little notification right now on the screen with the creation montage. And go check it out there and you can see what's different. Now the first thing I did was I wanted to make it more stable when it comes to balance, because the first version used to overcompensate, and the thrusters would cause it to wobble back and forth as soon as it got off axis, which was not a fun thing to deal with. Now there's still a little bit of that issue if you go a little bit too hard on it, but the system I've done here makes it so much more stable, and this was inspired by a lot of the hovercrafts I was seeing people create. Look at this. There's like there's 2 jet streams coming out of this thruster. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, this is inspired by the hovercrafts that people were making, and this system is thrusters attached to suspension and having an angle outwards, that way it's not just straight up and down. So having it angled outwards absorbs a little bit of that power, and the suspension not only absorbs the power, but adjusts the sensor detection. So that way it doesn't just do a quick strong burst, it does a stutter, and the stutter actually creates more of a precise balance rather than just having that strong burst that would overcompensate, then this one would overcompensate, then this one would overcompensate, and you just have this really unpleasant wobbling effect that would just help you lose, or make you lose control. So that's the first adjustment I made that is adding to the stability. The second one is these wheels in the back. They used to look like this, where it was just straight, the wheels were coming straight up and down outside of the jetpack, and that was fine, it worked pretty well, but if the vehicle got any elevation at all, like if it went up a hill, if it went off the ground at all, then the downward thrust from those thrusters would cause the entire jetpack to rotate underneath the vehicle to the other side when you didn't want it to. And I found that very annoying, and it was happening way more often than I wanted it to. So I thought, maybe I should put like a wheelie bar or something, just something extending out here and keeping a little bit more stability, but I didn't want to add more wheels. So instead, I just deleted the wheels, deleted this arm, and reattached it right here with a bearing. There's a lot of stuff in here, but you can see that bearing right there. And I have that bearing set to 45 degrees outwards, so you can see when I drop it. It is now at 45 degrees out this way, and that gives it a lot more of a leverage distance away from the body of the vehicle, which prevents it from going underneath the vehicle nearly as often. So like I can go a lot faster here. I can even go up on this little bump here, and you can see that it stays more on the ground rather than going underneath the vehicle, which is really so much better than the original. Now, here's a little bit of a tip for you guys who are building any type of vehicle that has an angled arm where your wheels are attached. If you put steering on these wheels, you don't want to attach the steering to this main shaft here, because what's going to happen if you attach the steering to the angled shaft. All right, I'm gonna undo what I did to stabilize this. So if you attach the steering to the main shaft, you're gonna have this going on. Yeah, you can see that my wheels are turning on a angled axis, and that makes the opposite end lift up when you turn one way, and that doesn't keep all your wheels in contact with the ground, which means that your steering is going to be less than optimal. So what you want to do is before you put your steering on, before you put the steering on this arm here, you want to put bearings and then steering. And those bearings, I have them right here, those bearings are going to cancel out, like I have this at 45 degrees, that's the arm. Those bearings, you're going to reverse the directions of the bearings so that they can cancel out that angle. So 45 degrees in one direction, 45 degrees in the other direction, and now your wheels are back on that horizontal plane. So what that allows is when you turn, you can see that now the wheels stay in contact with the ground rather than lifting one side up. And that's just going to make your steering much easier to do. So if you guys are building those vehicles with the angled arms there, just make sure that you counteract that angle if you want to put steering on those wheels as well. Yep, so those are the main upgrades that I've made to this vehicle, making it so much more stable, and I'm going to give you guys this vehicle to play with as well, so check out the description. There's going to be a link to download this, and you guys can play with it. You guys can add stuff to it, modify it, change it. You can even delete it and grief it for all I care. Just have some fun with it. Whatever you find is enjoyable. Alright, so a little bit of a hint though, if you guys want to have even more fun, you can see that we have our top thrusters right there. And if you want to switch directions, you go ahead and press the bottom thrusters. But if you want to have a little bit more speed, press both buttons and you get all the thrusters at the same time, and you can actually get some air. And if you do it right, you can control the jetpack where it is underneath your vehicle and try to keep it underneath and see how high you guys can get up off the ground. Alright, we actually might make it to the skybox. We have no angular control, but actually it seems to be balancing out pretty well. I don't know why. I've never gotten this high before with it. Let's see if we can hit the skybox. I think we're going good so far. Just gotta keep going. Uh-oh, we're losing our axis. We're losing it. We're losing it. Oh, we hit it. Oh, is that the wall or is that the sky? I can't tell. Just keep going. I think, oh, that's the sky. All right, excellent. Now let's let ourselves fall down here. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a crazy spin. Now that is a gyroscope. Alright. Yeah, so that is my advice to you guys. Experiment, give it full power with these thrusters. I mean, look how fast this thing can go, even on the ground. And we're gonna go right into a tree. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you did, please punch that thumbs up. Leave me a like. Let me know what you guys like to see and what you guys want to see next. You can leave in the comments. Let me know what other vehicles or creations you want me to showcase from my creation montage. Go ahead and check out that video. All of those things are up for being showcased, and if you guys really want to see something more than something else, I'll bump it up in the queue of what I'm going to showcase next. And if you want to see more challenges, you guys have been leaving me a lot of great comments on what you want me to build for the next challenge series, but leave some more of them here. If I see a lot more of one thing than the other, I'm probably going to be more inclined to build that. So go ahead and leave those comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because if you want to see more Scrap Mechanic content like this, you're going to want to subscribe so you get updated when I release a new video. Now, my schedule right now is I'm going for every Friday. So I know once a week isn't a lot for a gaming channel, But honestly, I'm just starting out learning this whole YouTube thing, learning how to make videos, even learning how to do these voiceovers. This is all very new to me. So, and I'm trying to put some decent production quality into my videos, and that takes a lot of time when you're new at it. Like, I don't know all the shortcuts yet. I'm learning everything, and I'm trying my best. So I might be able to change my schedule to be a little bit more often once I get more used to this process. But for now, I'm going to keep it once a week, because I think I can keep that consistently at least, and I do want a consistent schedule so that you guys know what to expect. So thanks again for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to download it. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I want to get to 5,000 is my next milestone. I'm already at 2,000, maybe even 3,000 by the time that this video is released, but probably not. But yeah, 5,000 is my next milestone. Let's see if we can get there. Alright, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Scrap Mechanist channel.